to Corner podcast. I'm Jeff, and as always, I'm joined by Paul. Good evening.
That's me. Good evening to you, Jeff. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. And we're joined by your daughter, Freya.
That's this one here.
Hello.
That's that one there, if you're watching on YouTube. And at last, after a year, we have new Doctor Who episodes to talk about. And you know what? We thought that it was going to be really difficult getting through a year with no new content
I know.
to talk about on the podcast.
We've got so much of it banked up.
But we managed it, and now we've got more stuff to put out than these episodes have frankly come along at the wrong time for our schedule.
Yeah, I know. We could do waiting for another 6 weeks, really. Aren't we? We've got 6 weeks ahead, kind of banked up now.
Yeah. So cheers.
Cheers. Excellent. No, but that's good. That's a testament to the whole wonder and depth and breadth of Doctor Who.
That's it.
So much media, so many titles, so many brilliant things to do with Doctor Who.
We have
to talk about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
and you got badges. Yeah, I'm not wearing mine tonight. I foolishly forgot, but you're both rocking your subscriber-only badges there. Look at
Doctor Who Corner to Corner podcast badge available to subscribers only. If you want to subscribe, then get in touch. It's easy.
I don't know what's that voice, Freya? The metallic shine of them doesn't quite come across here, and it certainly won't come across in audio. So
they are
check them out.
Shiny.
They are. So we're here to talk about the Star Beast, the grand return of Russell T and Tennant, David T and Catherine T. There's a lot of tea. Let's spill the tea. So, yeah. So, as I'm sure anyone listening will know, this was the start of the new era, the 60th celebration. David Tennant is back as the 14th Doctor, which is really just 10 plus 4. And this was the Star Beast, which was the plot was an alien spaceship. Well, you think it's crashed, don't you? That was, what you're led to believe. And then I don't need to repeat it because I'm sure anyone listening has watched. So let's get into it.
Hopefully they've watched. Otherwise, this is one big, massive
spoiler.
Yeah, stop listening. Come back in about an hour.
Come back later. Yeah, go watch it. Go watch it now. Do it. And then come here, and then you won't be spoiled. So it's all good.
And listen to our thoughts on it. So, what did you two think?
Right, you'll just straight in like that then. What do we think about it? Because that's how we all start. It's been a long time since we've actually looked at a brand new episode. Yeah. And Jeff has gone, what do you think? Because, we're always just trying to come down from it and trying to process everything. But, I mean, okay, so rather than let's go what I think, let's see if we can arrive at some kind of idea for this. So, firstly, it's based on a comic strip story from 1979 or something.
Is it that long ago? Wow.
Oh yeah, it's like one of the very first Doctor Who weekly magazine, as it was then.
Yeah.
Back when it was owned by Marvel. It's one of the first stories. There was the Iron Legion, there was Star Beast, the Dogs of Doom. Those really early Pat Mills and Dave Gibbons stories, which are fantastic. And Star Beast is great. I think it ran over about 5 or 6 episodes.
Did little 9-year-old you love it?
A little 9-year-old me absolutely loved it. A little 20-year-old me loved it as well. 30-year-old me loved it. 40-year-old me loved it, and 50-year-old me loves it. Also, it's a great story, and I when something is based on something that you love, you're always going to look for the differences, right? And there were some significant differences, but the core of the story is right there, and I love that, and I love the fact that they credited Pat and Dave on it as well.
Yeah, really prominently as well.
I mean, these guys. I mean, those two guys there, when they wrote comic strips for Doctor Who, they were writing some absolute legendary titles, or stories within the comic history of Doctor Who that have become legendary. They were great when they launched. They were already at high benchmark, and they've never been beaten. I think they're just extraordinary. And of course, the guys also went on to write for pretty much created 2000 AD. In its early days as well. So and they've always been deeply embedded in British comic culture, if you like. So to have their story brought to the screen is tremendous.
It must be
60th.
Must be fantastic for them, to have written that, created it, 40 odd years
these
ago.
Guys are legends.
Yeah.
And it's something to see it on screen. So so from that perspective, I love the story. The story is classic. I'm always going to love it unless they really mess around with it, and and then it becomes something else, and you take it on its own terms. So the story for me was great, but then of course I'm talking from it like someone who's quite familiar with it. But someone who isn't familiar with the story, how did you feel with the whole beat the meat thing? There you go. That was it. That was pretty quiet.
Stunned silence.
Stunned silence. But what about you, Jeff? Because I take it you haven't read it, or have you?
No, I've never read it, but
what's your thoughts?
I became aware of it. Once the someone in a costume was packed on set all those years ago now for when they filmed it. I really liked it. I thought, and also I'd gathered that it starts out cute, but actually turns out to be a bit of an arsehole.
Straight in. Okay, so we're giving a language warning for this podcast then, yeah. Arsehole.
But I really liked.
Who you talking about? What? Beat the meat was a
yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay, right.
it turns evil, doesn't it?
And it was always evil, revealed.
Yes,
to be evil.
Yes.
It kind of plays on the ET thing almost, isn't it? Sort of cute alien found in a toy cupboard. There's that kind of thing. But this is pre-ET.
That's what. Did you say that the other day? You might have done. Yeah, or I've certainly heard that. But yeah, I thought it looked great. I couldn't work out whether it was all CG or a costume, and then when it was evil, the face I think was animated, because I saw a picture of
it was
Russell. There was a picture of Russell with a horrific rubber meep stand-in that he put out on Instagram the other day. So I wondered whether it didn't have any hair to it or anything. So how they have a stunt rocket, on Guardians of the Galaxy to fill in for where the CG thing will go, and it's almost like a horrible looking blue rocket thing, raccoon. You'll have to look out to see what I mean, but this is what the meep thing looked like.
Right.
If you're listening, these two look confused because they obviously haven't seen what I'm talking about.
If you're listening and you know what Jeff's talking about, then please let us know. Please write in or call in on 0100 24 24 78 99 99 99 991.
Well, it was on Instagram anyway, but yeah, I thought it looked great, and you can. We'll talk a bit more about the money later, but you could tell there's
the money. Show me the money.
But yeah, I like the character. I thought the vocal work was really good. I actually watched this episode with my kids tonight.
Did you? Oh,
yeah. So there was, quite a lot of questions. Why is its fingers so long? Look how sharp its teeth are.
That.
Yeah, they looked a bit like sort of ET's, long phone home one, actually.
When
Yeah.
it showed its hand for the first time, I was like, that's like different, isn't it? It's just not what you think it would look
kind
like.
of a weird sort of handy thing.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, I think my kids quite liked it. There was part of me wondered
Did they freak out when the teeth came in though?
No, not really. I think they were sort of surprised that it had become evil, and they were saying its eyes have changed now, and they sort of noticed that. But I think part of me wondered whether they had the Star Beast in it, because there's been, particularly with Disney stuff, quite a push for the kind of cute little things like Baby Groot and Grogu and stuff.
Disney does like the cute thing, doesn't it? The cute,
but it's not a bad thing at all, But with part of I guess the mission for this new stuff is to sort of appeal to a younger audience again, like it did, back in 2005. Many of who, are now grown up and watching again. I think, like my son, he's 9. He liked the Wraith Warriors. When they were sort of I couldn't pronounce it right, but when they had their insect wings out and stuff, and they were flying. He thought they were cool, so that element of it, appeals to them, and so they enjoyed that stuff. So I liked the beat the meat plot line. It was fun, and it was. I quite liked seeing this little sort of. I've got a guinea pig here actually. It's called Poppy. And it's white.
What's the guinea pig called?
Poppy, and the other one's called Rainbow Sparkles. I didn't name that one.
Yes, he did.
But Poppy looked a bit like Beep the Meeps, seeing this thing sitting there going, whatever it was shouting when it was in its cockpit and stuff, calibrate engine and launch the drill thing. It was so kind of silly comic dialogue, and I was thinking of the guinea pig. So, yeah, I enjoyed all of that. It was really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's all cool. So, also, what did you think of? Let's just get the beginning bit out of the way. So, the opening titles, they're all brand new. The new theme music now. The music I haven't heard. I know the music was released like about 4 or 5 weeks ago, wasn't it? It was released last month.
when they did it at the proms or something.
As soon as I saw it on social media, I just muted everything to do with it.
That's his favourite thing. When
it is my favourite thing. One thing I really like to look at is the new theme, the new titles, all of that, and I want to experience it right here on the night.
Properly, yeah. But I must admit, I don't like looking at clips and things, or watching, or listen to bootlegged, versions of things. I want to experience it. I watch trailer, an officially released trailer, but I like to try and sort of experience things as they should be. I did listen to the theme when it was released. I listened to it on my phone, and I felt dirty for doing it like that. It was disgraceful. You're right. So tonight, I'm going to be honest, I didn't sort of take it in fully because I was thinking, oh, wow, you can see they've spent a huge load of money on these titles with the TARDIS flying around and blasting out through.
It seemed like bigger.
It did.
Like wider.
Yeah, it was much bigger. I mean, most of the others, the TARDIS is flying through the time vortex, and that's basically it. I remember with the Moffat stuff, the big change was the lightning blast hitting it and stuff, But this has got a lot more, movement to it and scale. So I thought the titles looked, it had different shots of it moving in it, and it was flying around.
But I'll tell you what struck me was the fact it started with the focus on the light on top of the police box, and then the police box kind of spins around. Matt Smith's opening titles start pretty much the same as that, and then the whole thing kind of disappears into a very cloudy time tunnel thing. It struck me as very much like that. And then we get a kind of horizontal move, don't we? So we have the thing sort of moving sideways. We see the corner of the police box dragging through, like as if it's surfing on water. Surfing on the water of the time vortex. I thought it was a bit. Maybe I was less excited by it, shall we say? I actually thought it was a bit shit, to be honest.
Oh, really?
It was good, but I was kind of expecting something a little bit. Actually, when you say it's dynamic, which it was, but it kind of felt a little bit dull, really. Because, we've seen the Matt Smith stuff, right? So it opens the same as the Matt Smith, right?
I feel like
it has lots of stuff gone.
I feel like in some of them, you have even just the names going through stuff, and there's more through and around.
There wasn't. So the
whereas
names,
it was literally just boom.
They did come up at an angle, didn't they? And
but I don't know. I feel like
I
can't explain it, but it moves more, whereas this was kind of just forward.
Yeah, it was very forward. And whereas it was forward, there was some down movement, there was some horizontal movement, and it was all over pretty quick. I think it was.
Yes, that's true. It was.
I remember it was pink.
There was a lot of pink.
There was a nice colouring in it. Yeah,
nice. And then the logo comes up, and it didn't seem to me like the logo really belonged there.
It didn't match the setup.
It didn't. It looked like it had been slapped on top of it. When you get a PowerPoint, you get a really nice graphic. You get a beautiful image in the background that's really, really super 4K resolution. And then you slap a clip art on it or something. Yeah. That sounds awful.
For Microsoft Word.
Because I love the diamond logo, but I just thought, well, okay, maybe. But that is, I'm going to be honest, that is probably my only disappointment of the whole thing, and that's very much a me thing. So that is purely on me, And obviously, it's just an opinion. I'm not saying it was rubbish. I thought it was, but I just, I was a bit disappointed by it. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, I liked it. It looked cool. My kids were quite taken by it. They wanted to know what it was, and so trying to explain to them, that it's the time vortex.
That's the time vortex as used in every Doctor Who story since forever. It has been represented in many different ways, from a black and white squirrely thing to black and white wibbly things to very colourful diamond shaped and slit scan things to Starfield and beyond.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that how you explained it?
Yeah, well, it is in that exact voice. Yeah.
Do that. Right. Anyway, okay, so enough of my stuff there then. So back to the story. So we've got a lot going on. So we got the Beat the Meat thing based on a comic strip, but then woven into that is the whole Donna thing as well, isn't it? With the meta crisis. So we get that opening sequence where we got the Doctor and Donna alternatively telling their sides of the stories for anyone who, for some weird reason, hasn't been watching since 2009, 10, whenever it was.
Like my kids. So,
like your kids. Exactly. Why haven't they been watching it since 2005?
I think they were born then.
That's no
I
excuse.
wasn't born then.
Do
No
I need
excuse.
to explain that? Yeah, what did I think of that beginning bit? Kind of necessary. Now see, I did enjoy this a lot, but I felt that if you didn't know the show, and this is your jumping on point, you get what's going on. You know,
well, I suppose because even despite that opening,
I think so,
even
because
with that, you think it's
now,
difficult to.
Yes, I think so a little bit. So my wife watched as well. We all watched.
So did your mum, didn't she?
Yeah, Mum did
And
watch a bit. She was on her phone as well, but
Right, yeah, so was my wife actually. So she was a bit like, you know, if you don't know the show, you won't know what's going on. And my kids, you know, so the girls are 5, and obviously they've got no idea what's going on. But you know, I was having to try to explain what's coming. You know, why is Donna going orange now, and what's going on, and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, that's because they are young and they don't understand, and they also have very little. You know, they were confused that the Doctor wasn't a blonde woman anymore. Oh, I did like it when he showed the psychic paper to Sean, is it? Yeah,
Sean,
and he said it says mistress of the knowledge. You know,
right,
keep up. He said. So I really enjoyed it all. But I did feel that even despite that exposition dump at the beginning, you know, as a new viewer, potentially I would have been a bit like, you know, I've obviously missed something here. But
so
I think
did your wife get it then, or did she?
She knew enough to, you know, to get it, but you know, she was saying, you know, why can't she remember and stuff, and you know, it needed explaining in a bit more, you know, detail. But I think the beep stuff.
It did say at the start that he wiped her memory.
Yes, it did, but you know, I think it was quite a heavy part of it all. You know, you know, in the episode, but I think the meep stuff kind of, you know, that forms such a massive chunk of it that it works as an adventure, you know, on its own like that, you know. So, you know, whilst I don't know whether that side of it, you know, works for a new viewer, I think the rest of it does. So I think that's fine. You know?
Yeah. I think maybe the important things are kind of transmitted. You might not know the whole nature of the meta crisis and all that gobbledygooky stuff, but I think the important thing out of all of that, which you do remember, which I think your mum tweaked, wasn't it, was that Donna can't be allowed to remember the Doctor.
And then she was like, oh, so does her mum know? It's like, yeah.
Yeah, because that was fun, the way Sylvia was, you know, like, you know, prancing around trying to hide the Doctor from her and stuff. Then,
no, you don't know him. You've never seen him before.
Yeah,
no,
and
no idea.
She kept going,
what man?
Oh no, Grandad doesn't talk about aliens. No, there's no aliens. And I like the way Donna dropped the boxes and didn't see the spaceship crashing at the beginning. You know, she
that was good,
still missing it. Yeah. But I got
everyone else was up there with their phones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mum. It's like, no.
I got slightly confused because when they were in the unit van and the Doctor was saying, "Why did you give your money away?" and she said, "Oh, I wanted to, you know, to be like you." And I thought, "Oh, hang on, did I hear that right?" Because she's not supposed to remember him. And then later, I sort of got the feeling, well, she said there was some mumbo jumbo about she did have some memory of him, didn't she?
She dreamt about him.
Was it? Yeah. So
Yeah, at the start, she was saying how she had dreams, and the dreams are becoming more like frequent.
yeah. So there was a recollection about him, wasn't there? And she was
And she was like, "There's something
that was
there
it. Yeah.
missing."
That's yeah.
Yeah,
It's
what
kind
have I
of
missed?
like,
She said, didn't she?
it's not
Yeah, I
the
know.
same, but it's
That
kind
was
of
quite
like when the Doctor
moving,
came
that bit.
to see Amy.
Yeah.
And then, like at the start, and then obviously he isn't there, and everyone thinks she's mad. But she's like,
that's it. Yeah.
And then it's kind of like that. But
Paul, you are not a big fan of the way she had her memory wiped, are you?
No, I didn't. I thought it was. I thought it was a bit of a cheap ending. So I'm actually quite a fan of seeing that storyline now resolved.
Yeah.
Because I just hate memory wipes at the end of stories.
Yeah.
Like, especially with someone so vital and integral to the stories as Donna. Someone, it's very rare that we actually get characters in Doctor Who change over the course of their time. Or that we see such a profound change in their behaviour and ways of thinking as we ever did with Donna. She literally became a better person before I arrived. We're along the journey with that, and for that to be taken away, not just from her but also from us as a viewer, it kind of it's like a big slap in the face, and it's not a pleasant one.
It's
That's
not.
what I felt.
It was very sad and heartbreaking.
But it felt cheap. To me anyway.
In the years,
sad and heartbreaking. It's like, how can we make this sad and heartbreaking? Oh,
Yeah.
I know. Let's remove her memories. That'll have the morning
I think
tears.
it's okay if it's like a side character or something, or like a minor character. Like I
Yeah.
remember the show, but in Supergirl, if they ever have someone like come in and do like part of the story, it's like, oh, sorry, you can't remember that.
And they did that
Legends
in
did that.
they did that in Doctor Who as well, didn't they? In
Yeah,
Spyfall.
Spyfall did it a couple of
13th
times.
Doctor wiped out the memories.
And
But
I
again,
think it's you're right, Frey. It's not kind of So you're right, Paul. Donna changed so much, and had a wonderful arc and stuff. So forcibly having it wiped was, at the time when I first watched it, I found it, it was really sad, and it is. But when you kind of look at it,
cheap sad.
A little bit,
it felt to me like Russell was just making, and I'm sure it wasn't the case, but it came across to me as like, let's just, because it was at the end of the Stolen Earth and
that's
Journey's End, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the big, epic, joyous kind of thing, and then we get that crushing. That crushing end. Plus, also we get the whole thing with Rose on the beach, left with the Doctor, the other Doctor,
Tennant too.
Which is awful as well. I didn't enjoy it. I probably enjoyed that even less. So that whole thing is, for me, and I know loads of people love that episode and they love those moments, and that's fine. But for me, that is the absolute nadir of the first Russell T Davies era. So, and I just wonder if actually in the intervening years, whether that's been kind of playing in Russell's mind as well. And I know. Obviously, it was a different set of circumstances that led to David Tennant and Catherine Tate being brought together. But you do wonder if Russell's then like, okay, so I can pick that up and I can fix it.
Yeah,
because with it.
I was concerned how it was going to be done. I think it was done very well. And
what in Starbase?
I think they handled it nicely.
Did you think?
Well, because I've seen people online going, "Oh yeah, this is a chance to finish off that storyline." Well, let's be honest, the storyline was finished, but this is a chance, like you said, to quote unquote fix it, and sort of, carry it on with some kind of plausible reasoning. I think rather than just going, "Oh, they're back." And it's forgotten about. So
reason for them coming back. Yeah.
So I think it worked quite well, and I felt it was quite a good, punch the air moment when they were separated by the glass door wall thing, and she was, they were working it together.
In the meat ship.
Yeah, and they had the
because it forces Donna and the Doctor to overcome that moment, isn't it? They have to. She has to remember.
Yes,
because he can't operate the controls on that side of the spaceship.
No, and he was quite defeated at that point. He I can't do it, sort of thing, and he didn't want to have to do that to her. But so it was. I was thinking, what's going to happen? There's obviously going to be a get out, but what's it going to be? So I think it was handled quite well, and it was fun to see her sort of come back. you know, and say, I've waited to do this, and, you know, flick the switches and stuff. So that was cool. I like that.
It was very
It was good.
reminiscent of Journey's End, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
when they're all sort of dancing around the TARDIS, flicking switches and having a good old time of things.
Yeah, it was that, but
When you get like an experienced companion, they know how to like work things as well. It's like they've learned from the Doctor.
yeah,
That's what I got.
exactly.
I feel
Yeah,
like as soon as she came back, she just switched back to who she was just before.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And you're right, Frey. It's, you know, it's like, look at Yaz in you know, Flux and stuff. You know, she's piloting the TARDIS, and Clara was doing it and stuff as well. And I think some people don't like that element of a companion doing that, but I think, you know, the more time they spend with the Doctor, the more
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, to be honest. You know, so yeah, Donna coming back in full effect like that, I thought was great. I liked it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And of course, you know, when she gets her memories back, it's not just her who gets memories; it's her daughter who gets memories as well. So, on that, why don't we talk about Rose? Because Rose's introduction, I thought, was brilliant. So we have the Doctor coming out, sort of questioning why does he look the way he is, why is he here, and stuff like that. And he starts to hear, he hears the name, doesn't he? Someone shouting Rose, which I thought was brilliant.
No, he saw Donna.
He saw Donna first,
Yeah.
and then
and then suddenly it was like Rose, and he's like, "What? She's here too."
Yeah,
so it's almost like things are kind of forcing the Doctor into a confrontation, isn't it? That's
I mean,
potentially catastrophic.
It's a little bit very convenient, you know, what he happens to land in Camden and happens to see Donna, and you know, I like the way he took the boxes off and then he saw who it was and he put the box back again, and you know, it's like, no, I'm going. But you know, he said to Ruth Madeley, you know, I don't believe in destiny, but you know, if it's coming, so you know,
something's working.
Yeah, it works to bring him in. Also, I wanted to say I was intrigued to see how they started this, because obviously from the end of Power of the Doctor, he has gone into the TARDIS and had that Dalek story that was in DWM.
Oh yeah, I just finished reading that today. Actually.
Yeah, and then there's
the end of that at last.
Yeah, it probably works better when it will be a collected whole or read in one hit.
Yeah,
trying to read it monthly
yeah.
was I sort of lost what was going on.
13, 14 parts.
It's been running a year now, I think. Yeah, and then there was was it called Destination Scar, the Children in Need one? So obviously here he just landed, so they've kind of given themselves a bit of room to you know, have some solo 14th Doctor adventures again, which I wasn't sure how. I thought they can't turn down.
Kind of works, I suppose, doesn't it? Because
I think it's fine.
There's been
between.
There has, yes.
That makes sense then.
In the Doctor Who magazine, which you've got in front of you there.
Well, actually the end of that has him going to Skaro, doesn't it?
Skaro, yeah. So presumably he goes to Skaro, crashes into the Children in Need thing.
Yeah.
And then goes off and does other stuff, and then finally
goes to Camden. Yeah. I would have been amazed if they hadn't created some space like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's not some space between, you know, what happened in this and the next one.
What I like missed about like the first episode of A New Doctor is them being a bit all over the place.
Yeah,
and they are like not completely with it. And it's like boom, and they're crazy, and I love that bit. And I was just like, I'm not getting it. I don't feel like it's like new. I feel like we've just like picked it. I don't know. I felt like I was in the middle of a series.
Yeah, do you know what my wife said? It was good. She liked it. You know, it was sort of quite big and quite epic and stuff. But
because he was very serious, whereas normally, like when this first as a Doctor, it's like whoa.
Yeah, it's all a bit crazy. Yeah, and he was a lot more serious. That was, I felt, the main difference between 10 and 14. But this
he's thrown by having a face again, isn't he? You know, I did like that. Why is this? Why am I looking like this again? It's
so that's quite interesting. But if I kind of hit the nail on the head, they did feel a little bit like the middle of a series, or you know, just with a lot more budget thrown at it. It was, you know, it wasn't a sort of, and I think maybe you're right. It wasn't a traditional, you know, post-regen story, which is you know, he's you know, well into the swing of it here, you know. So that's probably a little bit odd, but I suppose then again for a new audience, you know, to have started like that would have been even weirder. You know,
why is he acting?
Why
weird?
is he so weird? Yeah, and also he's only around for 3 episodes as well, so you know you kind of just got to get on with it really. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this as the start of a 60th celebration and stuff? How did you feel about it on that angle?
It was all right, actually. I mean, I felt it was. I mean, it has got one big size 10 boot firmly in the past through the Star Beast, really. And you know, just on that, actually, just one final thing. What I remember is the other kid who accompanies Rose. I did get very excited because I said, "Are they going to call him Fudge?" He was called Fudge because he's Fudge in the comic. Which is
really?
Yeah. So that was
are they going to keep the name? Oh yes, they did.
Fudge.
That was the actual reaction.
Yeah, and he's a sci-fi geek as well, so that was quite cool. So yeah, that was all right. I mean, it didn't feel like it was massively celebratory in the way that the Five Doctors does, or
no,
you know. But then I quite like that because you know every anniversary is going to be different, and we shouldn't always do multi-Doctors. We shouldn't always have things done in this way, and you know, and the circumstances that led to David Tennant and Russell T Davies and Catherine Tate sort of coming together, you know, weren't planned as such.
No,
it was a kind of thing that fell into place, and it fell at the right sort of time, and it answered a specific problem that they had. So
well, it's very you know, reasonable that it would have finished with Power of the Doctor. You know, no one else was sort of, you know, despite what people say, it's, you know, because let's be honest, you know, it's not down to Chibnall, it's not down to RTD, it's not down to Moffat, because, you know, the BBC and now Disney are the ones in charge.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so
there's a lot of forces
there's a lot of forces in different
directions,
and it's not Chibnall. Yeah, it's not Chibnall or anyone going, well, we're done now.
Corporates.
It's corporate, and if they couldn't find anyone, that wanted to take it on, you know.
Yeah. I mean, my goodness, you look at the that end card at the end of it now. So it's, what was it? Bad Wolf Studios and BBC TV Studios production for Disney and BBC. Yeah. There you go. That's your partners right there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, plus, not to mention the shareholders in at least 2 of those, Bad Wolf and Disney. You know, come from various disparate places.
Well,
it's BBC, but even that's got different arms. BBC Studios is a commercial arm of BBC production arm.
I think it's worth, you know, being aware of the you know, the different you know, factors that go into making this, and you know, there is
tidal forces, Jeff. That's how I look at it.
It's not one person. It's not one person in charge of it all. You know, Russell even admitted. You know, they submitted, I think, the first Shooty episode, and Disney came back, and you know, they're like, the beginning's not working, and they had to go back and redo it all. So that's the sort of thing. There's multiple people, who you know, even James Cameron gets sent notes from
but
the
he wasn't
ups.
directing this one. Rachel Talalay was directing this one, who is a fabulous director. She did a load of 12 threes.
The Warriors there, I can't say the first name. You know, huge amount of stuff blowing up and action and stuff like that. And you know, she's got quite a good balance of handling the comedic bits, the action moments, and the more kind of emotive bits as well. So she is very good.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, we were talking about Rose, weren't we? Which again, now her character is kind of, as it turns out, is more than central to perhaps the third element of this story. So we've got the Star Beast forming the kind of core plot. We've got the Dr. Donna relationship as kind of the B plot, if you like, or at least maybe that's the overarching framework for the whole thing. But of course, in this one, we have we have Rose and her gender, don't we? You know, she's a trans woman, and we kind of see her as, you know, she's abused by some of her friends, right? And riding down the bike, aren't we?
Well, not friends. Yeah.
Old
people
acquaintances.
In her school.
Well done, Freya.
Yeah,
that's it.
Or
you know,
twats,
or twats, as you want to call them. Indeed, yes. You know, so I mean. This, I felt, gave the story its real kind of emotional heart and authenticity.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think, you know, this was quite a big move. I think, you know, and it's a good thing to see, you know, that kind of representation put front and center at you know, at a popular sci-fi drama show. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was made
that way.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and it was made integral to it. It wasn't done, obviously it was character reasons, but it was more. So it became more important.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah, it kind of fed into the resolution of the story, didn't it? And
Yeah.
also echoed into the Doctor's.
I loved that they made it like a proper thing, not just something.
That's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It was, a vital part of it.
Well, because you asked a question as well, didn't you? Was Rose a trans?
I said, would they make her be a trans character? So I was like, I'm pretty sure they would.
Yeah, I think I'd heard
she's a trans actress.
that was, going to be present.
I was like,
in
how
it.
are they going to do it? All that stuff.
And it was handled, quite nicely. I thought, it was well done.
Yeah, and it was nice the fact that it echoed back to the Doctor's situation as well. So the Doctor previously been a woman, now is a man.
I like that they said the Doctor is a man, a woman, and
both and neither.
Yeah,
I like that bit.
You like that bit?
Yeah,
like that bit.
I think we'll see more of Rose. I must say when 14 arrived in Camden, and then he had Rose, and he was going, what? I thought, oh god, they've gone straight in with a Rose thing, But I like that.
But that's also another reminder that Donna can remember some.
Well, yes, that was the reasoning behind it, and I kind of once that was kind of clear, I was like, okay, yeah, that's workable for me,
Of course, Rose would have chosen her name, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
So, but of course, she had the meta crisis
yes.
memories as well, didn't she?
Oh, yes, I've thought of something about that.
So it would be her kind of.
Yeah, actually, I'll come to the other thing I was going to say in a minute. So when I liked the Teddy things that she'd been making were memories.
I thought that was so cool.
Did you? But I didn't see that until the end, though.
No,
because I know there were a couple of stories. They weren't really. Yeah, exactly. I know when the first time we all went into the shed, and the meat is sort of saying the meat pulls some of them out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They're sort of looking through.
I feel like we do have quite a lot of shots of them, and even when the meat starts hiding.
Yeah.
And there's
but,
all of them.
Yeah, they are quite.
And then when they're there at the end, and you're like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
it showed the Dalek one, and I was like, is that a Dalek?
I like the Ood one.
The Ood one.
Yeah, the Ood one's good.
Next one there as well.
Well, so. Didymus Holmes, who we know is a big Calvinista fan, he messaged me and he said, "You saw that too, right?" And I said, "Yeah."
Totally a Calvinista.
But then I was, well, that's what I said to him. How would she know? And then I thought, oh, maybe it's supposed to be the werewolf. But then actually, of course, that was Rose, not Donna. I was thinking, what would Donna have done to have seen a Calvinista? Now, also, I thought there was supposed to be a mention of Flux in this episode. There wasn't, was there? Maybe it's coming somewhere.
Might have been somewhere, but maybe missed it.
Yeah, maybe I did have the kids asking questions.
There you go. So you've got your own different things.
Yeah.
So I don't have to. I'm good like that with you. You don't have to be like that anymore.
I used to have questions.
Yeah,
oh my goodness. You have a question like, why are you doing this? Why is that? Why is this?
I was 9.
It's just 9 years old.
No, what I was going to say was it was a shame we didn't see Bernard Cribbins because I was looking forward to seeing his last TV appearance. In fact, I told my dad, you must watch Doctor Who on Saturday. My dad doesn't normally watch it because I said Bert. My dad was very good friends with Bernard. So he's probably watched it and thought, what is this nonsense? and where's Bernard? But I presume, because he was filmed, but it'll come later.
I saw something saying that he'd have his last appearance.
Yes.
We're going to see Wilfred, we'd actually see them and have a nice little.
Yeah, so I wonder if I think they probably had to rework what was happening slightly, and now whatever was shot has been shifted to be later or something. I think that
like the bit when they first mentioned him, and the Doctor thinks he's dead, and he gets really sad.
He goes,
he's not dead.
Yeah, because I thought,
he's got everything he needs, and
I thought, oh wow,
really cool.
I thought they were going to, they'd removed him. That's what I thought was happening there. They were taking that stuff out, so I was pleased that they didn't do that. So that would be nice to look forward to. So yeah, I really enjoyed it overall. It was, tonally, it's so different to what we've had in the Chibnall era, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
lot more.
definitely. Yeah.
And this is not a bad thing. Obviously anyone who listens knows how much we love the Chibnall stuff, but this is a lot more kind of
Just felt bigger, I think.
your blockbuster in some ways, and I think it's.
I literally felt like the TV had grown.
Yeah,
it's the same size.
Yeah.
But it's what money does, in many ways, and
somehow increases the scale.
It does, and I think instead of having 4, soldiers, you got 20. It's that kind of thing.
There was a lot of unit soldiers, wasn't there?
There was a lot of them. Yeah.
Unit soldiers. Well,
her unit wheelchair.
The unit.
Yeah, that was that felt quite Bond. James Bond having a rocket in it and stuff.
Yeah.
And
scientific advisor.
Number
50. Yeah. Wonder what number Osgood was.
Scientific advisor number 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I get bonus points just for even meeting you.
But I think that it's aimed at a younger audience as well, which I don't think.
Which I think is great. I think Doctor
Who exactly. Like I said, my kids enjoyed it, and I think Chibnall stuff is, some of it is for kids as well, but the show I think was made with an audience that's grown with it a lot of the time, and now they're wanting to sort of go back again and capture that audience, like my kids who were watching in 2005.
I started watching it when I was 9.
Yeah.
And Capaldi.
Yeah, and I think because the Capaldi stuff is great, but it's quite dark and it's not kid friendly at all.
Well, series 10 you started with.
Yeah, I started.
So that's a bit different. Yeah, that's a little bit different that series.
And then I went back, and then we went back and watched it all, and I saw Peter Capaldi again. I was like, why is he so depressed?
Yeah, and it was like that, but this has things, the kids have been great, and I remember seeing
them. Feel like childish or anything.
No, it doesn't.
Like, until you said that your kids liked it and stuff, I didn't really think, kids are going to love this. I just thought,
no, and again, I think you're right there. It works for fans like us. It does, and that's
audience of all ages.
That's it, and it's a very hard show to make, and so there's some bits of this, like I said, my son liked the flying, insect warriors, the girls like Beep and stuff, but then when it got a bit more into the emotional parts and stuff, they've what's going on here, and they're not as interested in that, so it kind of works across everyone, and I think it has to do that as a show.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like all the boxes ticked in a way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
what did you think of the TARDIS interior?
I was going to ask you about the Sonic first.
Oh, the Sonic.
Sonic did so many things.
Sonic let's leave the TARDIS. Let's do Sonic first, because I've got loads to say about the TARDIS. But let's do Sonic first. Go on, indulge me. We got new powers now. It can create force fields and interactive displays out of thin air. It's now even more magic than ever.
Yeah, I bet you love that.
I love the Sonic, as you well know. Well, do you know, actually, I kind of prefer it in a way, doing things like that, because then it has a purpose. But I do hope that it doesn't just become even more of a get out tool, because it's like, if it can now create force fields and interactive displays and basically whatever the writer needs, are we going to see it just literally cutting through plot after plot? I think in the wrong hands, perhaps. I think this story had a lot of thought behind it, so it didn't feel to me like the Sonic was actually out of place. It kind of worked in the right sort of way, and it didn't interrupt the flow of the action. But I know historically, looking at so many stories where the Doctor just whips out the Sonic, waves it around, and everything's all solved, and it's just, please don't let's go down that rabbit hole again, and just constantly solving every problem with the Sonic screwdriver. It just do my head in.
I think it was doing a lot more, but I think it works in some ways to have it do
I think it
more.
Did.
I think it can just make things, like it can make the glass that he used as well, not glass, but you know,
I think it was just like a force field type. But
It's a physical thing. It wasn't like
force fields can be physical.
No, but what
things.
I mean is when I think of a force field, I think of it like bouncing back off.
Yeah,
they were going through, and they were like making it weaker and weaker and weaker until it shattered.
And that was cool that it did that, and then he
nice effect. I have to say that.
Yeah, it was
very good effect.
You know, the way he excited the wall and it broke and stuff. You know, so that was cool. So yeah, I think
resonating concrete.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah,
because that's a sonic thing, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, that kind of upgrade to it, I think was cool. Yeah, I liked all that.
Yeah. Okay, so TARDIS interior then.
Well, it's massive. Obviously, huge. Spent a lot of money on it.
For sure.
I really liked the roundels on steroids that were changing colour.
Back.
But
oh my goodness! I just looked at our Twitter page. I just pulled that up. We got a lot to read out there.
Have we? It's disappeared for me.
Sorry, go on, what are you saying?
I felt it was a bit cold.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
And that, I always felt that Jodie's TARDIS was very kind of homely, warm, and alive. And this is really like I love the the ramps and the running around and all of that, and the console.
The height of it as well.
The height. I mean, it's a couple of levels.
Someone told us, didn't they, that there were drones? They were using drones.
Now I wonder,
and then they shut up. They stopped talking. It was
they did. I wonder who. Can't remember who that was, but I wonder if the fact that it's already blowing up means it might change for Shooty. Although I don't know if they've got that money. Yeah, it would be nice if he had his own.
It's so big. I'm like, is that like? Did they build that?
They built it.
Oh yeah,
it's Unleashed. It is a set.
Yeah, it's clearly a real set. Yeah.
So I said when we watched it, I was like, I know it's supposed to be bigger on the inside, but that's crazy.
Do
you know what? Actually, my girls, one of them, they were both really confused. They were going, it was a box. It was a square box, and now look at it.
Fine, bless them.
And Phoebe said, "That's so magical," which I thought was brilliant. So I thought it looked great. I loved that my kids were kind of blown away by it. So it's what should happen.
What should happen.
Yeah, exactly. But I did feel it was a bit too kind of sleek and
Yeah, maybe. I mean, on the one hand, I've always preferred the more techno like TARDISes than the sort of grungy organic type things. I did. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Jodie's, but I wasn't that taken with the 9th and 10th Doctor's interior.
Yeah.
The coral, the brown. I thought that was looked like the dog had been sick all over the place or something. And I think the bronze Jules Verne with Matt Smith, I thought that was wonderful. But
I love that. Yeah,
to look at. And then we got that other TARDIS at the end of Matt Smith. But actually, I felt when Matt Smith had it, that TARDIS interior, as good as it was, still felt kind of cold. And it wasn't until they started adding all the books and things for the 12th Doctor that it started to feel a bit more warm.
Yeah.
They did something with the lighting as well, so we had oranges and glows. And also with the 13th Doctor, I felt in Series 11, it wasn't quite the warm place that it became.
Yeah, it did develop. I remember, with Matt, I loved his second one more than the first. That shot when he introduces it to Clara and the snowman, and she goes round the TARDIS and it goes in through the doors. Yeah, and he puts his arms out and it all lights up and stuff. Was so cool. But then when you see the Capaldi version of it, you're like, oh yeah, that looks a lot nicer, just with the addition of the books and the browns and stuff. So this is like so this new one is taking a classic console room and just
which I love,
pumping it full of steroids again.
The white console room again.
I don't dislike it at all. I think it looks incredible, and I think it will be able to do. I like a bit of color. I think is what it is.
Yeah, it maybe needs a bit of something else in there, because that's a problem when you've got a big, vast, wide open cathedral-like space. I mean, that's how it was always described in the Target novels. This cathedral-like space, and especially if you read Doctor Who had an exciting adventure with the Daleks. David Whittaker's first description of it, it's tremendous. And this is one of the few times we actually see that, I think. When
properly on screen.
Yeah, but of course the downside is that there's not an awful lot going on in those spaces. You know, we've got those stair walkways are fantastic, and we've also got some nice doors that presumably iris open and close into other places, which might look even more bizarre. But you know, again, when you sort of think of the Eighth Doctor's gothic candlelit interior, you know, it's crazy what the TARDIS can be. But that was filled with all sorts. That even had bats in those empty spaces, and you know, the grand seal of Rassilon above the doors and ridiculous stuff. So this is almost like the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, it is.
You know, let's create an equally big space, but strip it out of everything and just put some nice Mobius strip stairs in. You know, they don't seem to end, those spiraling walkways.
And there's a lot of,
like you could start on one and appear on another one without breaking stride.
And there's a lot of doorways in this one, which I wonder if more will be seen in it as well.
And the console looked gorgeous. It was like the old and the new combined, and dials like the old school, and they had the big
coffee
thing.
Machine.
Yeah, the coffee machine was like, they just need they just need a custard cream dispenser now, and then you'll be set for afternoon tea.
The creams, coffee machines. It's a total biscuit and coffee in one, then, isn't it? Really? And then, of course, Donna proceeds to destroy it. So.
Yes, classic.
I like that she was like, because it said before, like, it's not my fault I lost my job. Okay, it is my fault. And then she gets him a call. Oh, should be careful. That's how I lost my job.
Yeah.
and then it just like massively overreacts, isn't it? With all the fire and the flames and everything sort of coming out. I mean, fire and flames obviously the same thing, but you know, I'm excited. So I can repeat myself.
So,
flames of fire.
Oh, well,
like you just said, our Twitter has been going nuts. So we've got a couple of audio files from people to read out in a minute, haven't we?
We do, yes.
So I just want to run through a couple of other things first. So that we did a poll. What do you think of the new TARDIS? Speechless, kitchen, just wow, or meh? And so far, Speechless is winning with 48.1%.
That's good.
And just wow, which is probably the same as Speechless, really.
Same thing. We can add those two together. So we can do. We've got 48%
so that's
on Speechless, 24% on just wow. So what's that, Jeff? That's 68.
That's I don't know. You work that way.
Most of it. Most of it.
So we also did big question, who do you think the boss is? Now it's quite clearly the toy maker, but if I end up being wrong, then I will admit that. But I do like the fact that a large number of people have said it's Bruce Springsteen. So as a fan, Fred, do you know why he's called the boss?
No. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Do you know what? I don't actually know where it started from, so I've asked you that when I can't really answer it.
Come on, Jeff.
But that's his nickname anyway.
It is Bruce Springsteen's nickname. Yeah. But someone's also put in there the boss computer from the Green Death.
Yes,
that was Andy
Parkinson. That's popped up a few times there.
I like that. Yeah. Quite a lot of people have said, I assume it's the toy maker. The toy maker, is that too obvious? Or it could only be the toy maker, because we know the toy maker is coming into it at some point. And
the story goes that he got that name early on in his days of the E Street Band, because he was the one who got the band's cash payment from promoters every night and divvied it up among the bandmates.
Oh, really?
There you go.
That's cool.
What it is. Well done, Freya.
Thank you.
Someone suggested the boss could be Jinx Monsoon's character as well. There's a few people suggested that.
Very Pete Lambert, who's at prof_ quite a mess, I believe, is quite an Orphan 55 fan, and just put a screenshot of the kid from Orphan 55.
That's who it was. Yes. Yeah.
Gavin,
Gary Hopkins. Go on.
Gavin, who's at Valamist, just says Neris. Wouldn't that be a good twist?
I like this one. Actually. Gary Hopkins, happy 60th Doctor Who. The Gazulator was put. It's that kid with Rose early on who kept watching everything out the window.
Yeah.
It was when the Doctor said to Sean, "Oh yeah, I'm a friend of Neris," and then when Donna was like, "Who are you?" It's like, "What did I say?" "Oh yeah, a friend of Neris." "Oh yeah, I'm a friend of Neris."
Yeah.
That was funny.
That explains everything. Brilliant. Disney.
The fact he forgot what his cover was.
Well done, everyone. I'm
talking points on it. So
we'll go back through later and respond to some of those. So we had a couple of
doodles.
Yeah.
So if anyone on YouTube is wondering why Freya's not eye contacting with the camera, despite the fact she's Gen Z and doesn't do eye contact anyway, she's been drawing pretty rainbows.
And I wrote somewhere over the rainbow.
What did you do? Did you actually write? She did write that. Somewhere over the rainbow. Sorry, Jeff. Interrupted you there.
I played noughts and crosses for myself.
I was just going to read. Yeah. So we asked people for some thoughts on the episode. Things commissions open, who is at Curiosity Rock, said, I started crying as soon as Rose said non-binary. It made me feel so loved and in a family, and that they stated that the Doctor is everything. It's so good to feel my identity is included and valued. And Annie, who's at Annie's Musings on, said the Doctor is male and female and neither and both and more. Such a good scene. So nice to have that part of the show now. Love it. As a non-binary person as well, it's so special to me. So that was lovely. Now, Paul, I'm going to let you do the techie side. Would you like to play these little audio clips from some of our listeners?
I can try, my old friend. Now, let's have a look. IT Paul, right.
I will say that
I do, and I've got IT issues.
We couldn't use a couple of them, I'm afraid, guys, because
the files weren't compatible with our studio,
we need a WAV or an MP3, and we need them emailed to us or sent not in Twitter. That didn't work, did it? Yeah. Or sent as a file in Twitter.
Yeah. So he
turned it far too much into an easy get out clause. It did remind me of K9, actually, the kind of, it can solve everything, let's just use K9. But yeah, absolutely loved it. Loved the new TARDIS interior. And no throw forward to the Wild Blue Yonder. And we still don't know why the face came back. We still don't know who the boss is. Still going to be an interesting ride for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
That's a good point, isn't it? There are some nice questions kind of coming out of this.
I hadn't thought about that. It hadn't had like a next time.
Yes, I thought they might have done. Yeah.
For the next episode.
Yeah.
There's no real lead up to it.
I mean, there is a trailer out now, isn't there, for Wild Blue? Is it Wild Blue or Wide Blue Yonder? Wild
Blue Yonder. Yeah.
Blue Yonder.
There is. There's not much to see in it, I don't think.
We also heard from Frosty Mac. So let's have a listen and see what Frosty Mac had to say.
Personally, I really, really enjoyed the episode. It was fun, light, airy. Had a little bit of the Russell T Davies technobabble nonsense in the resolution, but that's fine, you know. We've had that before. We can live with it again. My biggest issue with it was the slightly awkward handling of the trans representation. Don't get me wrong, I really loved how overwhelmingly positive and supportive it was. Like, you can tell that Russell really cares. He genuinely loves the people he's trying to represent, and he's trying as hard as he can. That said, it does feel like he kind of sci-fi'd us a little bit, you know? Like he provided a sci-fi explanation for being trans, which, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it kind of others, you know? Just a little bit. It's the same reason why sometimes people kind of get annoyed with the idea of the genderless alien as trans representation. So, I mean, like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world, and I can live with it. I think most people could probably live with it, but I think you should probably get trans writers in the future to handle that topic. I feel that way anyway, you know. Obviously there's going to be variance of opinion there, but hey.
It's a good point. It's kind of what we were talking about the other day, isn't it? You know, when we're talking about representation, in order to get an authentic representation into something, you need that voice, you need that perspective. And I think as much as you can be an ally, a friend and somebody who's so supportive, and as Frosty Mac said, they're caring about a certain community, it's difficult to represent and write for that or speak on behalf of
I
them
hope that they did
if you're not part of it.
Yas Finney about it a bit, like about her experience, and if they could like write any of that in, or just to help them understand it a bit more. I hope they did do that. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah, but I think I think it's a fair comment that Frosty Mac said, actually, because it's all, sort of sci-fiing your way out of something is a trap that I think it's easy for sci-fi writers to kind of fall into, as much as they may care about representing a community in the right kind of way, and in a way that gives them, which kind of pulls the validity for it. I mean, I'm kind of struggling myself because I don't have that perspective, and so I couldn't really represent that viewpoint, with any sort of authenticity. So it's a good point, but I think we'll see how it goes. I think, like you said, hopefully they had Yasmin Finney's input on, they kind of doing the right thing. How did she feel about this and that sort of stuff? So, because I think we're going to see a lot more representation going forward, a lot more inclusivity.
Yes, I think
which
so.
is a good thing. It should always be there, but not cheapened. We don't want to see it cheapened. We don't want to see it just being a sci-fi kind of explanation for things. So I think that's a good point, Frosty Mac. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Yeah, thanks everyone. That was really interesting. Thanks for sending in audio clips for us. Feel free to do that in future. Just make sure we get them in the right format.
Files.
Yeah, because we need to.
For the ones that we couldn't download.
Oh yes, you've quoted
from
them.
Who was it? You got them written down there, Freya.
Lee Craddock from the Tasman, and how do you say that?
Tasman and Jarin's podcast, who said...
S. I can't even read my own writing. He said that they really enjoyed it, and the gender identity was perfectly written by Russell, and the meat was cute and dangerous.
They thought, so they thought the gender identity was perfectly written. I think we're going to see a lot of conversations on that, and I hope they don't turn into, the kind of volatile conversations that we often see online. I hope actually it promotes good discussion.
I think it was good that it got represented, and it's a nice starting point. But they can't leave their trans representation or there. Like it can't be it. There has to be more going forward. It has to keep going, because otherwise it's just going to be like, oh well, we've done that that's box ticked. And
I don't think it will be like that. So.
No, but better not be.
So we're seeing a lot of things laid out, aren't we? And what did Tony Filer have to say? Because he sent us a file as well, which sadly, sorry Tony, we couldn't get it to play.
Joyous resurrection, everything you'd want in an anniversary special. Makes you want to run around sonicking everything like an 8-year-old.
And why not? I think that's a perfect reaction to a new Doctor Who story. If it makes you feel like that, then it's kind of it's got to be a 10 out of 10, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah. It was good fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm probably a little bit more excited for the other two because we know almost nothing.
Yeah.
And the description that Wild Blue Yonder is bonkers, and the Giggle is doing stuff that Who has never done before is exciting to me. So my sort of fears that this is just
you were
2000
apprehensive, weren't you?
And I probably I certainly said to you, maybe not actually on the podcast, but I'm sure in the end I will enjoy it and it will all be well, and that is what's happened, but I'm more excited, I think, for the potential of what's happening, in the next two parts. So we will be back with a review of Wild Blue Yonder, won't we?
We will. Might be a little bit.
Got to avoid spoilers.
Yes. So next Saturday is my film festival event, and the three of us are going to be there.
We're going to be there,
and we can't hijack the screening to watch Doctor Who because we did talk about it. I don't think paying ticket holders would be too pleased about that. And by the time it finishes and we get home, it'll probably be midnight. So are you guys staying over at the hotel?
Yeah, we're staying over. Yeah, we're going to be there. Yeah.
So I might watch it when I get in, if it's not too late.
So you'll see it before we will then. That's wrong.
Possibly, yeah. They'll be later than that by the time I get back.
We'll crash around your house, Jeff. That's what we'll do.
That will confuse the
kids.
We'll
go back with you and we'll watch Doctor Who, and then the two of us will just crash on the sofa and the floor or something.
I'll be all ready.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That'll do.
So we'll try to get the episode out next
Yeah, we'll get it. When we get it.
We'll get it out because we've got another episode going out next Sunday evening as a filler. It's not a filler, but to put that to get an episode out in our regular.
Did he say filler?
No, I just mean it's filling that regular slot because we know we can't necessarily hit the Wild Blue Yonder. But before then. So, thank you very much. And to everyone who's commented and stuff, we'll start looking back at some of those. And
thank you, everyone.
We'll catch you next time on Who Corner's Corner.
Next
time. Oh, can I just say the piano in the theme? Love that. It was like every Doctor Who theme kind of just laid on top of each other. It's almost like he started with one, said, let's put another one on. Let's put another one on. Let's do another one on. Oh, we can put the 8th Doctor one in there as well. And I'm
going to have to go back and listen to it again.
It'll grow on me, I'm sure.
Assimilate it a bit more, yeah.
Bye for now, listeners.
Thanks, everyone.
Watchers.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.